first and foremost, we got to talk about a little bit of the drama in the LCK. And that's going to start with our boy Faker. Many of you have already heard that he hit a little bit of a breakdown, in air quotes, after a loss this past week, and ends up headbutting a wall continuously in frustration and disappointment. They do have the video here, and we want to see what you guys think, and I'm going to get what Nick thinks in a second, but all right, bear with me on the sound. I don't want to blow your eardrums out.
I don't even think it has sound. Oh, it does have sound.
It's a bit disheartening to see. It's good to see the team stick in there, like kind of support them. Definitely a frustrating loss, which we can go over in a second. But Nick, what's your thoughts here? You know, what are you seeing? What are you thinking in context of stuff?
Hey, he's just frustrated, man. Like he's playing, he's playing at a very high level, like all the time. And I think he like on these games, like he got caught out pretty effectively. It seemed like they just like, they might have had map hacks where they could just see where he is in the shadows and where everybody was. So he's just frustrated. Like, and he probably thinks that he's like the reason why they lost. And like, he's being super hard on himself just in general.
Yeah.
The one positive to take away from this for like every single person who plays a game with a keyboard and mouse, like he didn't type. Just to throw that out there, he didn't type at all. Like just throwing that out there. It's just a bad one. I mean, you see the coach like talking to him right here. Like the coach is sitting down. That's coma, and like he sees it, and he's like, he doesn't even get up on the first. And then he's like, holy, like he's real frustrated. And then he gets up like after this when they're like consoling him. Yeah. But his coach is like probably talking to him the whole time while this is happening, and he's just real frustrated, man.
I don't want to beat a dead horse and keep showing the video. I think that's enough, because you don't want to see that. It's unlucky. And like big time players like Faker want to put the game on their shoulders. They want to take the win, not let it slip. And it definitely shows, like you're saying, the frustration, and maybe he felt like it slipped out of his hands. I didn't watch the whole of the game, and I'm not an expert enough to know what he might have saw, if it was the team or him, but you don't like to see that kind of stuff. It's a tough moment for that, especially after coming off of their win, a little bit of a storied win at EWC tournament for League of Legends, and that like Faker skin sort of stuff. So maybe he's also feeling the pressure of retirement, wanted to squeeze one more out of this if he thinks it's gonna be ending soon.
I mean, he can retire. Like, there's no reason for him to retire. He's been playing great. Like, just getting caught out is it's just rough, man. And like, I think Faker's he's one of a few top players that can play with like a lot of different people. And usually it's like, oh man, I got Faker on my team. I can like perform like a little bit better, but he doesn't, I don't know, maybe like he's just not meshing right now with like the team. Or maybe like the team isn't meshing with him. But he's a very much like a synergistic like type of player where like if he's playing with somebody who has a similar mindset to him, like a similar play, like this is what we were talking about with the Overwatch play, right? Like if he has a person who's playing with him who has a like that same gut that he has, like they do really, really well. And like he's shown to like be able to do it really, really well. And like you can train it, but like eventually people start falling back into their own patterns and their own play styles if they're not playing the same way as like Faker or whoever else who does it. So
it's really tough to stay in sync in a competitive game, a competitive team game. Watching the Olympics, you see a lot of coverage of the men's basketball team, especially from the US. They're talking about, all these star athletes coming together, and like they have to actively make choices to touch the ball less because there's more of them, basically. They're all used to getting, the star mentality on their respective team, but here they a team full of stars. They have to make that choice. And then they're competing against people from countries who've been playing together since they were kids. So like it was interesting to see that level of competition from the U.S. men's Olympic basketball team focus that as a talking point and a pain point or a friction point potentially. And then to see this happen here, like what you're saying, it's hard, and they had some good streak. They had a good run with EWC tournament, but when it coming back in the summer split, the game that they had, it was 0-2 to Gen G, and Gen G is a phenomenal team so far, 14-0. 14-0 so far this season overall, whereas T1's only going 8-6. So I'm sure that's like, I'm sure that's also part of the frustration he's feeling. Like, it's in his hands, it's in the team's hands, and it's slipping out of grasp. Or like maybe it was a Violet moment where it's like the miscommunication just like didn't synergize, and like it just kind of slipped away at that moment, and like a thing happened and they felt like it cost them the whole game. Whereas like we're saying, there is a great player, but and there was 7 minutes more in that Overwatch game for them to come back, and they didn't. And that's potentially a thought that's happening here. So like a bit of a drama. You don't want to see that. Something we definitely had to talk about. Nick, any sort of final send-offs or throwaway like you'd like to see before we push into what to expect in LCS?
It's just, in all of these team-based games, like when you're on gray screen, when you're getting caught out, you need to take a step back and I'm not in Faker's head, right? I can't be. I'm absolute trash compared to that guy, like absolute creature compared to him, but it gets to everybody. Like it doesn't matter what game you're playing, right? Like the game's going to get to you. Like it's going to be frustrating because like there's a way that you think the game should be going based on how the game normally gets played. And if that's not happening, as I said before, like you're overthinking it, you have bad moments. Yeah. Like it's bad plays, not bad players for the most part. Like when you're at this like level, like it's like shit talking someone in the NBA. Like, don't do it. They are so much closer to Michael Jordan than you are to like them. It's ridiculous, And that's the same thing for like these pro players in these sports, right? Like, you can flame Baker or Ultraviolet, right? Was the guy who got caught out. Like we can flame them all day. Violet, sorry, Ultraviolet, my bad.
There's another player, Ultraviolet. No, so there's another player, Ultraviolet. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you can flame them on them like getting caught out, but again, it's them just like thinking too much and probably not having a partner on the team who thinks the same way that they do about the game. Like, because like these situations probably like don't end up in these situations when you have two players who are playing, synergistic, like if they're attached at the hip, you know what I mean? Like if they're watching each other kind of play. Like that's usually
that's usually what?
No, that's usually where like those like is I have a couple buddies that like we've played so many shooter games with each other. Like me and my buddy Chalk, like we're literally like we're shooting at the same dude. We're doing the exact, like not the exact same thing, but we have the exact same idea on how we're like playing the game. Granted, we're not like the best, right? But like it's more fun that way. You do win a little bit more when people are in unison for the most part.
For sure, especially in the team games and the coordination aspect. And it's tough to see. We definitely don't want that to happen to somebody. And it's definitely like a lot of the points you're touching on. It's something you want to walk away with, even if you're playing conventional sport or playing an esport here. It's bad plays, not a bad player. There's a lot to